This story takes place 27 years after the First Corporate War. The Nest by Sean Carrière. Chapter 2. A click and a half down the street, the truck and van were parked out front of the Cobblestone Motel. Kyle Grant stood with his team in a small circle and counted out the reward money before giving each team member their share.
Nice work, everybody,
Kyle said while counting out Bench Press's share first. Bench Press got his nickname from weightlifting and strength training. Already a rock-solid farm kid, a passion for pumping iron forged in his early adolescence had turned Bench Press into a mountain of a man with a barrel chest, a massive back, and limbs like tree trunks. Despite his intimidating appearance, Bench Press was a gentle giant who refused to carry a weapon. Instead, he served as the team's medic. Next was Sam, the team's breacher and radio man. Sam loved to brag he never met a door he couldn't open. Short and stocky, Sam always went to work bogged down with his automatic shotgun, 3 drums of ammunition, tools, body armor, and several pounds of explosives. Unfortunately, Sam was also the most problematic of the bunch, especially during downtime. There weren't nothing Sam loved more than drinking, getting high and chasing tail. On top of that, Sam was a champion shit-talker with zero verbal filter and a knack for getting under anybody's skin. Sam only avoided severe beatdowns because of the hand grenade he wore on a chain around his neck like morbid bling-bling. Despite the amount of trouble Sam could stir up for the rest of the team, they all agreed he was damn good at his job and worth the occasional headache and hefty bond payment. Leaning against the side of the van was Slick, the team's sniper and point man. Slick was blessed with what his grandfather, a retired Marine, called the Eagle's Eye, the ability to put rounds on target from a great distance and with frightening accuracy. Slick had inherited his family's ranch and was an avid big game hunter. After his grandpa passed away, Slick found ranching and hunting a bit lacking in excitement. So, Slick sold his ranch and applied to be Kyle's sharpshooter and point man. A month later, Slick proved his worth as he used the Eagle's Eye to shoot a road flare out of an arsonist's hand, thus saving the rest of the team from a fiery death. It should be noted, Slick also had the misfortune of being Sam's best and only friend. Whenever the team's breacher and radio man got his ass arrested, it was always Slick who'd give Kyle the news. Last but not least was Laura, the team's driver, navigator, and mechanic. In her late teens, Laura had been a promising rallycross driver. This was just before the First Corporate War had kicked off 30 years earlier. After the war, Laura took work as a long-haul convoy driver and spent the next 2.5 decades driving road trains from the industrial territories to every fly-speck town across the wildlands and badlands. Laura was not only a first-class wheel woman, she still had hundreds of contacts all over the continent. This made Laura indispensable for the amount of intelligence she could gather on a target's whereabouts almost anywhere outside the gateway. Kyle had lost count of just how many times the old girl had kept the team out of harm's way. With the team paid, Kyle wished everyone some well-deserved time off, and they all dispersed like leaves in the autumn breeze. Laura wasted no time and went straight to her motel room. Slick followed Sam, who was already walking toward the nearest massage parlor. Bench Press jumped back behind the wheel of his van and drove off. Everyone going their separate ways without a word wasn't out of rudeness. They'd all just spent the last 3 weeks tracking that slippery card cheat from Bartertown to Bartertown, and everyone was well aware what everyone else had planned for their downtime. Nothing was said because there just weren't no need to say a thing. Kyle remained in the parking lot and counted his share of the reward, subtracted the mission's expenses and recounted. Kyle was disappointed with himself, knowing he should have kept a bigger cut, but he also knew he couldn't bring himself to do it either. Kyle laughed at himself, thinking he was probably the last honest bounty hunter in the business. Just as Kyle tucked the money into his pocket and was about to head up to his motel room, he heard a familiar voice behind him.
You didn't tell me you were back in town.
Kyle turned around and saw Colonel Drake standing between two uniformed soldiers with holstered sidearms. Kyle ignored the obvious bodyguards and looked the colonel up and down, his eyes finally focusing on the bottle of scotch the old warhorse was holding in one hand.
Evening, Colonel.
Kyle finally said.
Are you looking for a drinking buddy?
Colonel Drake motioned for his bodyguards to fuck off, and they obeyed without a word. The colonel then held the bottle up so Kyle could get a better look at it before saying,
Best bottle in my cabinet, Kyle. Single malt, first cast, and age 19 years. What you say?